a middle school robotics teacher, and I've got a lot of videos on the different projects that we do in there. I also teach math and share some of my lesson design, my thought process before, during, and after the lesson. Additionally, I run a classroom economy where students apply for jobs, pay rent, purchase things in an auction, and potentially become the owners of their desk. I've got a whole series on how I do that. There's a series on filmmaking tips from camera and audio settings to editing workflow. And finally, I like to vlog during holidays or whenever I travel. The Kenyan Safari vlogs are some of my favorites.
Welcome to another episode of 7 Questions, a series where we ask better questions, specifically the same 7 questions that John Maxwell taught me.
I teach middle school math and robotics, as well as the high school YouTube video production course at my school. I'm also a YouTuber and podcaster.
The one and only Thom Gibson. What's going on, dude?
The name of my workshop that I'm doing this week is YouTube class. Yes, it's actually a thing. You make the time to do the things that you want to do. I remember a friend of mine, she just had a baby several years ago, and she's like, every time I think about how I always said I didn't have time to do something when I didn't have a kid, she's like, I don't even know what I was doing with all of my time. That really stuck with me. I really started to become really intentional with my time. I didn't want to be another person that was saying, oh, I'd love to learn another language someday. These dreams and these ideas, but never putting any action behind them. And I actually use an app called Planboard, which is originally something that I use for my lesson planning, but just taking that time to actually plan out what my week is going to look like and look at the goals of like, what do I want to accomplish this month and where can I start moving things into my week to actually get those things done. I had always wanted to learn Mandarin growing up. First, I was like really fascinated with Kung Fu, like the Shaolin monks and how they would like train early in the morning and climb mountains and stuff like that. For the last 2 years, I have been taking IB Mandarin 1 and 2, and I took the IB test, IB being International Baccalaureate, spending 20 to 30 minutes a day just working through flashcards on a website called Skritter, which is really good because they test you on the tones and you can hear a native speaker say the full sentence, as well as a couple of years ago, I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a way of kind of getting physical activity, but also wanting to learn a martial arts since I was a kid. I'm also realizing like it's gonna take me a long time to get good at this. I was like lamenting with a friend yesterday. I'm like, gosh, there's guys that are just starting like less than a year ago and like I've been doing this for 2 years and they're just like sweeping the floor with me. And I feel like I'm struggling with this Mandarin. Like I'm not even really conversational and I'm like been studying for 2 years. There are certain things that I feel I've gained competency in my life when it comes to like, audio engineering kind of things or video production or teaching. But then these areas of my life where I'm still really new, like JiuJitsu and like Mandarin, I get so frustrated every time like I feel like a loser. I get frustrated when I'm like getting beat. It's a terrible feeling because it's just like, gosh, I want to be better. I want to be more conversational in my Mandarin, but I hate that like when I go to a Chinese restaurant, I'm like rehearsing like what I'm going to say. And it's like, all I'm doing is like ordering like a dumpling and a Coke and stuff. And I'm like, I should be better at this. I've been doing this for a couple of years, but through failure, it takes time to get better at things. And it's been like a big lesson in empathy for me, for my students, being in like a jiu-jitsu class and like not wanting to ask a question. And the coach is like, what questions do you have? I'm like, there's students that are like that in my class every day. No matter how welcoming of an environment I make it for questions, it sucks to not know what you're doing. It sucks to feel like everyone else around you gets it or is getting it faster than you. And there are things that they take more time sometimes to actually learn and to get better. And you're going to have to keep failing and you're going to have to keep struggling. A guy named David Goggins. He's one of the few people to be in like multiple special forces of like Army Rangers and Navy SEALs and like Marines and all this other stuff. And he came from like being a guy that was like over like almost 300 pounds. He was spraying cockroaches like as his job. And he's like, what am I doing with my life? I want to be a Navy SEAL. And he like lost 100 pounds in several months and then failed out of Navy SEAL training the first time, failed out the second time because of injuries, and then like made it through the third time. But his book and like just his story is this one of just pushing himself past his limits, pushing himself past what he thinks he's able to do. Like I read his book and it's just like, gosh, it makes you feel like we really can do anything. Like we have so much capacity, but we have these self-limiting beliefs. You're capable of so much more than what you think you're capable of. I really like this book called Daily Habits by Mason Curry. He kind of just documents how a bunch of people of history had these routines of their day of how they got their work done. Some of them way healthier than others, some of them like detrimental to their own lifestyle and their own family. But like one of the guys, it's like he would get up and no one could talk to him, and his wife was basically just his servant and like coming to give him his meals and everything, is serving the greatness that he was. And it's like, ugh. And being able to kind of have like a ton of different people in history like documented here in one place was really cool. I think you should start training jiu-jitsu.
You said that very matter of fact.
I thought about it earlier.
No. You need someone you can beat is what you're saying.
That's right. I need like a white belt so I can just kind of boost my own ego. Like, yes. It's humbling, obviously, as I've shared, to just kind of get rocked, but at the same time, it's good physical fitness, and it keeps your ego in check because there's always going to be someone better than you. Something that I do in my classroom, which really kind of opens up a lot of time, but also gives my students one of the most meaningful experiences that they have in my class, is a classroom economy. Students have to pay rent on their desks, and so they have to apply for jobs at the beginning of the year. Different jobs pay different amounts. Some of them will eventually buy their desks so they don't have to pay rent to me anymore, and just see the value of that desk grow in value by the end of the year. It's a really cool opportunity for kids to actually learn some pretty real to life skills. Some of the jobs they need to get a letter of recommendation, and so they really take it seriously. And I got the idea from Rafe Esquith. It was just a rock star teacher who's written like several books, has taught for over 30 years. I've created a course showing other teachers how to actually create and manage this classroom economy and replicate it in their classroom. And you can find it at my website, thomgibson.com/classroom economy. I made this with the hopes of just clearly explaining my thought process around every aspect of it, in hopes that another teacher could implement it in their class as well.
Dude, thank you so much for your time. I really learned a lot from you today.
Thanks to you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. I hope this episode of 7 Questions inspires you to ask better questions. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about the episode and comment below. My name is Brett Gray, and as always, be great.